Hello, we are here at the Portland Open with Jeff Spring, starting off our 2022 press conference. Jeff, how does it feel to be back in Portland, Oregon?
It feels wonderful. This is one of my favorite corners of the world, the Pacific Northwest. Reminds me of home from Vermont, so the Green Mountains, I'm always missing them. And it's great to be up here where there's mountains, big forests, a lot to do outside, and of course some of the best disc golf in the world.
And we know that the tour actually owns the Portland Open. How does that differ from other events on the Elite Series tour?
Yeah, we do own and operate it. You know, I actually founded the Portland Open in 2019 with the Portland Open team. You're a part of it, Zoe, Dustin, Nate, Val, down with Bevel, and of course, great history, world champions in disc golf. But yeah, the Disc Golf Pro Tour back in 2019 didn't have an event in Portland, and the connectivity that we saw between the relationships and the amazing golf and the volume of players in the area kind of turned into a beautiful thing when we founded it in 2019, and when I became CEO and director of the tour. Later that year, part of that was to transfer some of the events like the Green Mountain Championship and the Portland Open that I had founded over to the tour, and so we could run them as one unit. And that differs because normally we work with local organizing committees or businesses that own events themselves or that historically founded events, and it's not that different. Stumptown Disc Golf is here working really hard, 140 volunteers for this event. So they're a stakeholder in the event. We're delivering, I think, 36 baskets for their club through this event, and they've turned out in force to really support it. So it is a little bit different in that we have our hands around it and our fingerprints all over it, and we put a little bit more tour resources into it.
Well, thank you for that description. We know that last year we were on, I believe it was the west side. This year we are on the east side. Can you reflect a little bit on ticket sales, from last year versus this year, and just kind of the watching live, the VIP experience?
Yeah, I mean, last year versus this year is 100% different almost. We're on the same property, but we're not using any of what we used last year. There are two 18-hole golf courses here, the west side and the east side, as you mentioned. But last year, we weren't planning on being here until 6 weeks before the event. We had Blue Lake Park reserved 2019. We did 3 rounds there. We planned to do 3 rounds there in 2020, but we weren't able to because of the pandemic. That actually carried over into 2021, and they still weren't accepting reservations last year. And we got 6 weeks out, and we said, okay, we have to find a new venue or cancel. About 12 weeks out, we had actually found this venue just in case they weren't able to honor our reservation at Blue Lake. So there we were. We pulled the trigger at 6 weeks, and I called Dustin, one of our core event team here, and he was in the area for a short time, and we got to tell that story last year where we just had like a weekend or two to really put in a design on the west side. The east side wasn't available on that short notice because this is kind of the premier side of the property. It's got a lot more elevation, huge wooded Douglas firs. It's a really special property, and I won't even try to describe it. So, I think that the fan experience and the ticket sales are going to be totally different. Last year, we were limited to 250 tickets a day. This year, we have over 2,000 tickets sold both days out here. So it's totally different in the state we have, society in for the pandemic, but also the property that the golf's going to be played on.
Wow, thank you, Jeff. And here is Grant from the PDGA.
Hey, Jeff, not counting the Match Play Championship or the Tour Championship at season's end, this is event number 7 out of 14. Mm-hmm. We'll call them regular season events. So at this unofficial halfway point, what are the highlights of the season for you?
Yeah, so far so good. We've had a great start to the season. Yeah, we do have 2 playoff events, I'll remind you, now that we've started the Disc Golf Pro Tour playoffs, GMC MVP. But this is very much the kind of like the halfway point, the turn of the season. I think when we start heading back from the West Coast, things turn. Man, it seems like a blur. It feels like we just got out to Vegas. The World's preview at DDO stands out. The Champions Cup, the new major. I know that that's not a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, but we're integral to the event, being there for media, being there for operational support, and that was really special to be back at WR Jackson. Texas Swing. I think what stands out generally about the Texas Swing, and then even following us from there, is tornadoes. We've had like tornado warnings over half the events, and really high winds and really interesting weather. So there's been a lot of fun highlights, but it's been a bit of a whirlwind so far.
Where are we seeing some of the new focal points and improvements on the tour? Are they things that the fans are seeing through the lens or here on the property? Are they things that the players really are the only ones that are seeing? What can you shine a light on for us?
Yeah, we push forward and improve all facets of the tour and our events in baby steps every year. We want to have sustainable growth. So, we introduced a tour card and tour card amenities. I think the players are starting to feel that, their experience on site is more professional. The media is growing. We have a bigger team with the Disc Golf Network and the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but our media partners are doing better and more amazing things every week. And certainly the spectator experience. We've got a ticketing team, customer service team that's able to respond, help spectators understand their experience, and then deliver when they get on site with more food and beverage, more festivities around the event. We have live music here. We had live music at OTB last week, and really draw in the community. And then lastly, just giving back to the community. Our partnership with Uplay, Disc Golf, and Community Connect is one of the strengths that we bring when we come to any community. Like, we're teaching hundreds of kids how to play disc golf at every single stop. So little steps forward across all facets every year. Continual improvement is one of our core values of the tour.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Brian.
A couple questions for you.
Yeah.
First off, we're playing on a golf course again. I played at OTB last week at Swenson Park, another golf course. Let us in a bit on the business side of selling disc golf to a golf course.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. There are several relationships between golf courses that the Disc Golf Pro Tour or one of the local organizing committees have had. And it really depends on the course. I think what we found heading into the pandemic is that golf courses, certain ones were slowing down and they were looking for more business. So when we approached them about renting the facility for a week, there was availability and there was, kind of pricing that was available for us to get to. As the pandemic kind of kicked golf into overdrive, you found some spots that weren't even willing, like you could pay them whatever, and they're booked solid. They're getting high greens fees. So it really depends on the type of course. What we found here at Glendevere is a really special relationship. Glendevere is run by a management company that manages over 30 golf courses in the West. And Kevin Neisner, who's the general manager here, has an experience of running Nike Cross Nationals, one of the biggest cross-country races, definitely the biggest high school cross-country race in the world, I think. And they've had 5,000 spectators out here. The property is actually owned by Metro Park, which is owned by, basically the government in the area. And they're really open to finding, new ways to use the property, and they have experience hosting large events. So not only, do they welcome us, they're helpful, they're enthusiastic, and they're really excited. I think usually the pricing, that we see here, it's high. The course and the property are incredible, but it can vary. It's usually how much revenue is a golf course going to bring in for a certain day. And then usually that's pretty much it, and they can reduce costs, or they're going to upcharge you 5-10%. But anybody out there looking to use traditional golf facilities, I think it's a good idea if you have the right blend of terrain. I really think that golf courses in general, and their use in the sport, they definitely have a bad rap in some people's eyes. And I can see why. I think that said, an open field, whether it's not a golf course, is going to produce the same type of shots. So whether it's a golf course or not, it's about the terrain, it's about what you do with it, it's about course design more than the specific property. I would always encourage folks to, start with conversations with the management of golf courses and go from there. But there's just such a vast array of like maybe availability and pricing there. We found something really, really special here, and we hope to continue this for years.
And one last question for me. You mentioned golf courses sometimes get a bad rap. We're one sport sharing the facility of another sport, and a lot of disc golfers truly love being on a sport-specific property. Looking into Portland, I see a course like Pier Park, a par 54 that's absolutely breathtaking in aesthetics and also the lines that it allows the players to throw. Have you ever thought or discussed the idea of a par 54 shootout on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
We're certainly open to it. We try to stay up to date with designs and layouts that are going to challenge the players. I think last year we had Harmony Bend's washout, and we played a venue that was all par threes, and it was fun. It was kind of like a throwback, and it definitely felt like a throwback, and folks gave us that feedback. But it wasn't bad for a one-off. So I think once in a while it could be appropriate, but one thing, about Pier is that, it's part of the AM side this weekend. It's the course I love to play. Definitely one of the reasons I, have fallen in with this Portland disc golf. And the thing is that when we're talking about a facility like Pier Park, there's barely enough parking in the area to even just have half of a tournament. We have to look down the street, kind of residential parking, so on and so forth. There's certainly not great warm-up facilities for players. There's certainly not a great parking situation for players. Bathrooms, vending, live music. Could we do any of that? So we're at a place in the sport where we're certainly looking to develop our own disc golf specific venues, but those are in process. I'm talking to about a dozen people who have new property, who have new courses, who have disc golf specific ventures that are underway. And we're excited to be in development with those facilities. But at the same time, I think as a bridge, we're looking for facilities like this that have professional services, the ability to bring in a lot of vendors, whether it's for live music or to sell, an ability to have 2,000 spectators on site. We're going to have $50,000 added cash because of that ability. And so there are these parts and pieces that work together to fuel added cash growth, fuel purse growth, fuel the ability to bring more spectators on site. But it has to come with excellent course design, with excellent shot shaping, and at least some kind of thread to what we know and love as disc golfers growing up in Vermont and being in the woods. That's what we're always looking for.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Jeff, back to this facility. The equipment on this course wasn't here this time last week. What have you heard from players who practiced either yesterday or today about how they feel about this course?
We've had incredible feedback, honestly. So far, so good. The crew here has worked incredibly hard. One of our coordinators here, Evan Spur, has been here for 3 weeks, making sure everything's lined up. The design is ready to be installed. And yeah, we've been working on installing it for about 3 weeks, honestly. That's part of the relationship here with Glendevere, is that even though we have, a certain window of rental before we hit that window, we've been able to, just kind of move forward and get the course in the ground. And I cannot wait for the world to see the competition on this course. It's a one-of-a-kind property. The trees are hundreds of feet tall, wider, way wider than this. It's got views of, hopefully we'll see them, Mount St. Helens and Mount Hood out there, and just wonderful elevation to use. We've been getting great feedback, and the push to get it in was a tough one, big team effort. But so far we've been getting great reviews on everything from tees to baskets. So.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll be right back.